What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Sesh Program. I am Skip Marazzi, your host and friend for the evening. This is my good friend Cory Robinson, and he is our special guest for the evening. Tonight we should be having Flamingo joining us to do some seshy type things, probably space truckers or something along those lines, while we talk and catch up with Cory Robinson. So you say this is your first podcast, is that right?
It is, yeah. Joining as a guest, but hoping to, like you, become would you say a close friend by the evening of all the listeners?
Close friend of the listeners. And that's really, I mean, that's kind of the goal ultimately, is to chat until people are like, you know what, I like that guy. I really do like that guy. And that's where we get to by the end of the show, hopefully. There's been very few people that we get to the end of the episode, and I think our listeners were like, yeah, no, we don't like that person at all.
I feel like you and I were extraordinarily fast friends.
Yeah, 100%. I think that, let me back up a little bit. We met at the OmniCircus in San Francisco, which was a place that existed kind of, I think, in that decade. A number of people know about it. But it was 2012. But had been there for probably from 2008 or something, I'm guessing, and then a little shortly after we were there, it was no longer there. So you in that place like that, which was just very strange.
It was strange. That's okay. So the first word, strange. How do you describe OmniCircus when you're talking about it? It is everything you've said is factual. It's a place. It was strange.
It was place. It was strange.
What?
Okay. So it touted itself as a theater. So that concept was definitely there. There was a conceptual stage location, and there was conceptual seating for people. But the only thing it had in common with the theater, it was very dark inside and no light was allowed to enter. Now the irony, of course, is there was only shows there when we forced the guy to actually do a show to prove that it was in fact a theater, and so he finally begrudgingly obliged us, and not a flop house as it seemed to be as when we showed up there.
I will.
Oh, but I didn't even mention any of the art. How would you like to describe
the art? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everything you said is true. I actually never saw a show at the OmniCircus.
We performed. Yeah, there's like a whole get together. It ended with Lyndon made pancakes or waffles. It was the closing number of that. Like as him and all these singers were singing this song, Frank being out of key, and like basically like an angel choir behind this like man who couldn't hear himself or something. I'm not sure. But then it ended with waffles, the smell of waffles wafting through the air. Very surreal.
So did that kind of redeem it into a theater in your eyes in a way? I mean, did that like quantify, like not quantify, but did that turn it into something other than a squat flop house for you? Because I think they put on shows before I was there, and
they had.
I mean, it sounds like after I was there.
Right. From what I understand, like the idea with like the artwork that was there, and that Frank viewed himself as a musician, and he was. I mean, he knew how to compose music, and he was obsessive with it. He used every form of art to get laid, and that was why he's not really an artist. He was really more of a con artist than any other type of artist. Oh, Flamingo, welcome to the show. I'm sorry, I haven't even shouted you out because I got wrapped up in thinking about the OmniCircus. Chandler, this is Cory Robinson. Cory, this is Chandler of Flamingo Music, who is this is his show, the Sesh Program, where we sesh with Chandler. That is our cold opening. We will continue to talk about that more. What are you up to?
Oh, I'm just chilling, man. I was thinking of playing a little game while we talk or something.
Sweet. What you think about?
There's some Star Trucking or.
That's what's up.
I don't know if you want a visual or something, but I could play some Star Trucker if you wanted. Or
Yeah, visual background is perfect for me. Cory, how's that work for you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Gives us some.
I hope Chandler, I hope you're interested in hearing a lot about 2012 San Francisco and the I don't know, what to me was living inside the mind of a paranoid schizophrenic man for several months.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it, because that's the thing about the OmniCircus is it felt like as soon as you walked in through the door, you were no longer in the world as you knew it. You had entered into like this bubble of reality that was extremely different. Like the space on the inside of that building was greater than the outside of the building somehow. Like that sort of thing. Walls bent at weird angles, and there was like cubby holes where people were coming out of all the time. And you're like, how is it possible that there's 8 people in there? So there was. Somehow there was, even though it was in San Francisco, there was a basement to this place. Where and I was just thinking about this recently.
The famous spooky basement.
Yeah, there was a whale skull, or a hippo skull, some large mammal. There was a skull of some large mammal that was in this basement, which I've witnessed with my own eyes. So this is not just like a story.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and absolutely illegal to have those bones. Yeah, I mean, so like, and that was the place. So I think you found it the same way I found it, through Craigslist, right?
Well, before we not actually through Craigslist. It was actually through Reddit. Chandler, can you describe your level of familiarity with the OmniCircus? Are you coming in cold on this?
Yeah, I think he is our very audience member audience. So if you have any questions where we have not caught you up, you want to know more, you could ask away, because it's a very unique.
Well, that's the thing, man. I'm just when he asked if I was ready to hear about it, I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm ready to hear about anything that you find interesting. That's what I love about driving my truck in space. I just get to listen to these podcasts that
space radio
come through the radio, and it's great. I love it.
This alternate reality where we talk about the OmniCircus. So you found about it through Reddit. That's an interesting connection, because I can't imagine that Frank was posting up there. Was somebody just commenting that, like, if you're in San Francisco, the weirdest experience you can have is living with this dude?
No, it wasn't that at all. It was. I mean, I was a kid. I was 19 years old, and I was in love with a girl who went to Berkeley, and I said, I'm gonna move to San Francisco. I say in love with. I had a crush on a girl who went to Berkeley.
You, as much as you can understand love at 19, right?
I would have told you that I was in love, but regardless, it's neither here nor there. So I said, I'm gonna, I had a kind of a flair for the dramatic. So I'm from upstate New York, and I kind of, without a plan of any sort, took a bus out to San Francisco. And like just prior to leaving, I was posting on Reddit, and I was like, hey, internet, I need a place to stay. Can anyone hook me up in some way? Like, I will live in the most squalid, outrageous, cramped conditions, and I'll pay. Like, I don't have that much money, but like, I need somewhere to stay. And so this kid, who you may remember, he was very quiet. Do you remember a kid who just kind of like disappeared one day, early, like in like February 2012, from the OmniCircus? He was quiet.
I think that you mentioned that he had been there, but I think that he had only been there, like, he was there a day when I was there, and then he was not there anymore. So that was like the briefest connection I had with him. When I first met you, you mentioned his name, and I was like, oh yeah, I just met that guy.
Yeah, I don't remember his name anymore, but so we had been talking on Reddit, and he was like, yeah, I'm looking at places, I'll be your boots on the ground. I was like, perfect. So like the day before, I think I was on the bus, and he was like, listen, I found a place, but it's not big enough for the two of us. It's like, oh no. And he was like, but there might be more room. I'm like, all right, this sounds strange already. And so he said, here, I'll put in a good word for you. And I got there, and I had like a family friend that I stayed with for 1 or 2 days. But he goes, "You got to meet this guy Frank, and he'll assess whether you're going to be a good fit."
No, we're gonna
And
mention Frank because Frank is actually a public figure. His name is Frank Garvey, and he has a lot of music projects, which I will also link in so people know him. Um, but yeah, no, this is not like a private person. We can definitely talk about Frank Garvey because he's put himself out there as a
he
public.
sure did.
Yeah,
He sure did. Yes.
and continues to, I'm sure. Although I imagine he's in his 80s now.
I could never quite assess his age. I could never assess his age. I thought if you put, I would have said he was somewhere between 55 and 65, 15 years ago.
He said the only reason I can guess that is he said that he was a professor in Illinois. I think it was in Normal, and he before he
Irony
came
upon
down,
irony.
yeah, right. And if I remember right, it's something like a Bible professor or something like that. And then it's some religious studies. And then he comes down to, or he goes out to San Francisco in '84. And the only reason I remember that is because that was actually the year that I was born. So I was like, holy crap, like I think at that point 28. And this guy's been here for my entire life. So he must have been in his 20s then or 30. So that would have made him like 58 or 60 when we met him. And that was 15 years ago. Yeah, so I'm thinking, he's probably like 75 or 80.
Yeah.
Again, just a guess from the
squares.
random lore. As you know, with the stories of Frank Garvey, they might be total bullshit. That might be that he is either making something up because he can't remember, he's fucking around because he wants to fuck with you, or he actually believes this is the truth, even though it's completely implausible. You never you never could tell.
So, my first clue that something was a myth in the situation was that this kid, we'll call him like Jared. I think it was. I don't know. I don't remember his name, but he was like, meet Frank at this internet cafe around the corner.
Right around the corner.
Yeah, you remember the internet cafe?
I do. Yeah, I got kicked out of there because he was so mad at me having a laptop.
Okay, you know it well. It's not anymore. You could not have met Frank there. So, my first clue that something was amiss was that this guy goes. You meet Frank there at 4:00 p.m. whatever, and he'll be wearing. He told me what he'd be wearing, which was like a hoodie covered in a leather jacket. He described him like you'd describe a cartoon character who always wears the same thing. The
same outfit every time, and he actually did wear that same outfit all the time. Yeah.
I can still remember the way he smelled, which was not necessarily. It was like peppery. It wasn't like a bad smell necessarily, but it was a very peppery smell.
Yeah, that's true, and distinct.
But anyway,
I know exactly what you're talking about. I've forgotten about that until you mentioned it. If you ever had to go into his room, his whole room smelled like that.
Did you go into his room much?
Well, he would like show me like the tracks that he was working on or whatever on that computer.
Yeah.
At one time he wanted me to be his protege, although he's insane. So at one point that meant something. Then at one point it meant something else, and then at one point just like, okay, Frank, and like you're nuts. Anyway, so what was the first thing he included you in?
Did he ever show you his gun? That's the only time I went to his room. He whipped his gun out, and I was like, oh dude, I don't want to be in this room with you anymore.
Like actually, and when we say room, actually what we're talking about is a closet under the stairs. So you walk into this door and you're immediately met with a curtain, and if you go into this curtain, that's where his room is, but it's only like broad enough for your shoulders, and if you take 2 steps in, you stretch your hand out, you've reached the other side of the wall. And there's a loft space that he had built up to the right, and it did have more room than anybody else did, but it was
that's where the gun was.
Yeah, I bet it was probably up where he was. Because of course, he's a little bit insane, also, and has seen some shit living in the downtown area of San Francisco for the greater part of 30 years. Because where he was right off of the major BART station. I can't remember exactly what those streets are called. But it's
I will never forget those streets. So it was off the corner. It was Natoma Street and Minna.
They're perfectly.
It was right there. Right.
Those
right
are
there
the
near
major
6th
streets,
Mission.
though. Yeah.
No, Sixth and Mission was the major intersection,
There
but then
you
there's
go.
a couple side back streets, Natoma and Minna, which was where we were at.
The two of them. Yeah, so we're right off of Mission, and you're right in six. So if you guys are familiar with San Francisco, like, there's a lot of big money in that area, but there's a lot of homeless people too. Like, it's just, there was one, if you went just a couple blocks over, the whole alley just smelled like piss constantly, because that was just like that's where people were peeing all the time. That was their spot.
Yeah, a lot of using, a lot of sleeping, a lot of kind of there's a what's it called, like an injection station, near what's it called, I forget what it's called, but
for
methadone, there's a methadone clinic, just like right around the corner. That kind of vibe.
And that's where it was. Yeah, the actual mission was not too far from there. But yeah, it was all the things that Frank had seen in downtown San Francisco over 30 and 40 years. It's just crazy. I'm sure when he came out there in the 80s, he was kind of following that 70s vibe, like the post-hippie era, and then the transformation where it just became like, where it's basically near Marin County, so it's like the playground for like people who have a ton of money. So San Francisco has a ton of money. It changed the landscape a lot, for sure.
Yeah. 2012 seems like it was. I mean, I can't really situate it in the scheme of things, but I did go back and visit last year, and it looked, a lot the same in my opinion, from the outside looking in, just being there for 2 weeks or something, a week.
So not much to change in the city itself?
No, not as far as I could tell.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I mean, take that with whatever grain of salt of a guy who hasn't been there since 2012. So
right,
yeah, I don't know.
And we were visiting then, not necessarily residents.
Yes,
and then
exactly.
You were visiting again when you came back, which is fair. A lot of really interesting characters who were staying there at the circus.
So can I tell you again about? Can I tell you about like how the first time meeting Frank?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. What was the thing? Okay, you said that he showed you the gun immediately.
No. The gun was later.
Okay.
So
what was the first?
It was in the internet cafe. He goes.
So many stories.
We get. Oh, dude, I've got so many bizarre stories about Frank. This is one of the least bizarre stories about Frank. Right. Is when I walk in, he goes, and you got to keep in mind, I'm 19. I have nowhere to live.
Right.
I'm brand new to the city. I'm a child, right?
Right.
And he goes, and he like the first thing he says to me is he goes, this is a theater space. We're creatives. The socialist revolution is occurring.
The socialist revolution. I forgot about. Yeah, 100%.
And he's like, what skills are you bringing to the table? And I was like, brother, I am looking for a place to lay my head every night. And he goes, okay, that's, that we do need that as part of the socialist revolution. But also, like, can you act or sing or dance or make paper crafts? I was like, I can, I know how to write. I'm literate. And he goes, okay. And he pulled out a composition notebook and put it in front of me, and he goes, describe everything that's happened since you walked into me, like right here. He gave me 5 minutes, and I composed this thing that he looked at, and he was like, oh yes, okay, very good, you're in, basically. I don't remember what I wrote, but I was, I think it just like I think even in the 5 minutes, I had recognized that, like, oh, this guy is something of a megalomaniac, and so I think I dabbed in some flattery and some, like, I don't know, this guy who smelled peppery in his in his leather jacket. It's a cool guy. So I don't know what I wrote, but that was how I entered the bizarre world of the OmniCircus.
Yeah, OmniCircus. So yeah, as you enter the OmniCircus, on the stage is a large, what looks like a mechanical artichoke, kind of, that has like a half human form coming out of it, and a bunch of like arms that seem as if they could spin. And there are paintings, large paintings, at least 6 feet tall, probably 9 feet long. They're gracing the walls of the hallway with this post-apocalyptic world of like morph shapes that have been destroyed by the atomic weaponry. Right? Like that's kind of the idea. Did he
Yeah,
take
kind
you
of the
through
idea.
lore?
I've described his paintings aesthetic as like if Hieronymus Bosch got into like digital art almost. Does that track at all?
I'd have to know who Hieronymus Bosch is, but
he did the triptychs. He did the Hell, Heaven, and Earth triptychs. He was one of those really trippy late Middle Ages. I think you'd recognize it if you saw it, but that's neither here nor there. They're strange, and they're strange and they're disturbing. Though perhaps.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. I'm sorry, it took a second to get his name right. I know. Yeah, exactly. And if he did like digital, yeah, okay, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It was a very dark and twisted aesthetic, I would say, and made even more so by the by the speakers that were constantly blaring in just like the most dissonant and. I mean, I'm gonna overuse the word bizarre and strange, but take a listen. Folks, Google.com, moth nor rust.
I'm gonna cut it in. Actually, I'm gonna Google real quick. We can't share it while he's watching. But yeah, no, pull up Moth or Rust because he was working on and reworking the same album that he had been working on for like 10 years. Maybe,
oh my goodness!
Something like that.
Yeah.
And he keeps having more people come in to sing different parts, and he keeps layering in different like things. But as a musician or an artist, you listen to the same thing over and over again. But he's not doing it with headphones on. He's doing it with speakers that are loud enough for everybody to hear the song. So he's like programming people, right? That's what you're saying, right? Like the weirdness of this like woman's voice going like, oh,
oh. Yeah, and Skip, can I swear on here? Is that kosher?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, because we got very familiar and intimate with these songs, right? We heard them like literally hundreds of times.
That was kind of wow. It's really cool. You got that Christmas tree. Is that like something you unlocked?
Yeah, I just figured that out the other day. Actually, I was like, holy shit.
That's awesome.
So I figured I would just put it on the display for you guys for a second.
Happy Christmas to all of us.
Happy Christmas.
I am overcome with the spirit of Noel. It's so beautiful. Yeah.
It's amazing.
So
we hear these songs.
Oh yeah, the music, right? Yeah, that's why I was kind of worried about actually like putting it on because I was like, oh dude, I might have a flashback.
We hear. Yeah, I mean, a flashback because occasionally I throw them on just to be like, well, did that really happen?
Right.
But he would play these songs and we'd get very familiar with them, and then he'd emerge from his den and he'd just start yelling that like, I did it. This song's going to like Top of the Pops #1. He had these delusions of grandeur, right. And he'd say, I tweaked it. I figured. He said, come listen, right? And he'd play it, and I'd look at him and I'd go, Frank, that's the same fucking song that I've been hearing for the last 6 hours straight. Like that's not different. He was he was very dedicated to his craft. I'll give him that.
Well, that's the funny thing about him is that he's a Leo. I don't know if you knew. But so and one thing about Leos is that they love to do work and to be magnificent. Like that's one of their big things. Mm-hmm. But they don't like to be critiqued. And so that was a huge thing. Then with megalomaniacs too, and narcissists, which kind of go hand in hand. The ego is out of control, and they're just so obsessed with themselves. So with him and very much people liked him. Like he wanted to make great work, and he wanted to be like touted as a great artist, but he didn't want to ever put it out there. Like publicly put it out there. He'd be like, yeah, I kind of once in a while I'll go to an open mic or this and that. But like, he wanted to play a guitar to get laid, or whatever.
So what was the how long were you out? How long did you live in the OmniCircus for?
It's a weird. So the thing is, like, it feels like it was like a year, and then I've actually counted the time, and I'm like, it's maybe only 2 months, and I'm like, that's I don't know. There's so many experiences that we
No.
had there, that like I feel like I went through like a whole like period of seasons there. Like I feel I experienced summer and winter and fall, but and then yeah, again, like I look at the timeline of what happened afterwards and when things like I published a comic book at that time, like I met people and did
Mhm.
projects, and so like as I pieced that timeline together, I'm like I could have only been at the OmniCircus for like yeah, this is what it seems like it's maybe like only 2 or 3 months.
I am not going to tell you your own
I
timeline,
have
but
no idea. Yeah,
I seem to recall you being there at least 6 months. At
really?
least 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, because I arrived in January of 2012, and I think left in April. And we must have, I mean, you must have gotten there in like late January or February. I hadn't been there long, or even the middle of
Yeah,
January, maybe.
right after the first of the year is when I came to San Francisco. At the end of
Yeah,
2011, beginning of 2012. I think that was
but when
a
I,
different thing that happened. But yeah, so you left in April, you said.
yeah, and when I left, you were still there and
Yeah,
lived there for a period of time after I left.
yeah, exactly. That is interesting. Maybe it was the summer. It could have been 6 months. That could have been time. But like it's the difference in like how long it felt like it was versus how long it actually was. It was a lot
Oh
shorter than it
my
seems like. Yeah.
goodness.
Um, so there's like because there was a weird like time dilation. One because you never knew when the sun was up because it was always dark inside, and two because
Yeah.
there was always so many different experiences happening of people coming and going that time itself like
Yeah.
lost a kind of coherence.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we talk a little bit more about the interior of the space?
Yeah.
So what do you how many bathrooms were there?
So there was one bathroom for the
There's one
20
single.
something people that were there, depending on the week.
Yeah.
Again, hard to tell. I'm trying to like
Yeah.
get a rough head count, but it fluctuated a lot. I think maybe the lowest number was about 15 generally. And then
Yeah.
yeah, depending
Yeah.
on who was crammed in where. Um,
Yeah,
there was
I
one
don't want to
bathroom,
libel
one
anybody. I
shower,
don't want to.
and one bathroom and one toilet all in the same area, one sink. And that was where all the water came from too. So if somebody was taking a shower and you needed to make coffee, there was just you were just gonna have to wait, uh,
Yeah.
as it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. And
So
I remember hearing. Go ahead.
that was the final thought. That was just that's how it was.
Yeah. I recall hearing from somebody after the fact that that there was a peephole that was discovered in the shower as well.
Oh,
Is that
oh my
did you
God,
hear that as
yeah.
well?
So, okay, the way that the whole room is set up, right? The first place that you walk in is like Frank's room is right there, but he's also sharing a wall with the shower. The fact is, he's sharing two walls with the shower,
Right.
and right where they had cut where because they put that shower in there. That was a theater before. It was never supposed to be a lived-in space, and so at one point somebody built in the shower. What they
Mhm.
do is they just overcut the size of where the faucet handle was, right where that was, and so Frank could at any point peep in to see who was showering and watch them shower. Um, that was like I guess a known thing that was going to be the case. So that was part of the deal, which is why he was.
Nobody informed me during my onboarding.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I think this is found out afterwards, like after you had moved out.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it was the case that yeah, if you had showered there, he had definitely seen you completely naked just because he was trying to see who he could see. Um, yeah,
Wow.
Frank the dirty old man. But yeah, so he always had an ad up on Craigslist because he was always looking for like new singers, or he was looking for women who needed a place to stay, because that was what his thing was. Like it didn't matter if he was gonna get to hook up with you. All he had to do was get you in the shower at some point, and he got his peep show for free.
Wow.
So yeah, dirty guy.
Creepy dude. Yeah.
Not to mention that he was charging, I don't know, something like $200 a week or something like that for floor space to sleep on floor space. And if you paid like the premium prices, you could get like a little spaces tucked away away from other things. All of the spaces had bed bugs and would continue to have bed bugs constantly. There would be no escaping from that,
Yeah.
even when they bombed. It was only just a temporary reprieve. Because,
I remember there's a pecking order of spaces too. But, you know, there was the good spaces, the bad spaces, the in between. There was like private. There's like different levels of private, different levels of decor. There's a real culture in that place that I only scratched the surface of because I wasn't there for long, and not to restate the obvious, but I was 19 years old and I was working 2 jobs and I was living in my own world.
Right.
And this was like my foray into this was my first time living alone, alone, so to speak. I'm not alone, but being out of the house, and just being like, whoa, this is what the real world is like, I guess.
Yeah, which is totally strange because, as you know, later as you've gotten older, that is not the way that most people have ever lived. It's such a unique experience to live with 20 people who are in San Francisco for different reasons, all doing their thing. One guy was there as an Earth conservationist, like he was the leader of one of the Earth parties, and was very serious about what he was doing. And he was there because it was a good place for him to cheap. He was right where he needed to be. He could talk to all the people he needed to do to organize his calls, get it done. There was another guy who was retired but very, very smart. There was a mathematician who was there. We had that aerialist who went out to Las Vegas, but she was just like training in some acrobatics.
He was even younger than I was.
It was crazy that she was there. I hope that she is still okay.
I hope she's well.
We have a woman who I swear was a government agent who was checking out the place.
There was a lot of
strange mix. There's of course the 3 goth kids who lived in the back.
The goth EJs,
and Lyndon, who is indescribable
and Lyndon, of course,
as anything, but you have to know Lyndon because he's completely himself.
Lyndon in some ways, Frank wanted to be a cult leader, but he didn't have that thing of that charismatic draw. Right. That's kind of indescribable. And yet he was living with some Lyndon does have that thing of I would join that cult.
He was cool. If he just decided he wanted to have a cult, he could. No problem.
He would. He could he there's like a very peculiar magnetism to that man. Anyway.
Absolutely. Well, he's the one who suggested the first story that I ever wrote and turned into a comic book. Absolutely. Just he was like, you should do this. I was like, that idea is so cool. How could I not do that? And that's the type of charisma that he has, right? He just has that kind of impact.
And everyone was, everyone. You're right that people were in there, kind of doing their own thing, to a greater or lesser extent. Some people, their thing was being addicted to meth. Some people were some people were just their thing was I just got out of incarceration. It was a mix, it was a mix of things, right? But Lyndon in particular, Lyndon was working at a very prestigious restaurant, knew his stuff well.
Yeah.
Do you recall going to eat the most expensive meal I've ever eaten in my life from that restaurant, from Jardiniere restaurant?
I don't think I was there. I think I was working. I was doing like a film or something. I can't remember what it was. I remember you guys talking about it.
I would have sworn up and down that you were there because that was kind of the small. It was a small crew.
Really?
It was. Okay. To some extent, there's a period where it was just like, I would describe you and Lyndon as like my 2 people who were reasonable, I'd call you friends at that time.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And it was a short list.
It was. Well, I know that he was right. It was a 5-star restaurant. It was a place that celebrities went all the time. Like he was always coming back being like, oh,
Yeah.
like one time he's like, oh yeah, I met Robin Williams, and I was like, that's awesome, right? Like obviously before he died, he met what's his name from Facebook also, a long time before he was like even like Zuckerberg, like everyone knew who Facebook was, but like yeah, like who he was, I just and so like yeah. That's how so I can imagine it being the most expensive. I don't remember going there, but please describe the meal that we had, because it wouldn't be surprised in the least that I forgot that. It was during this time actually
It was
that I had stayed up for an entire week, like straight. Was awake for an entire week. So a lot of weird things happened, and I've already talked like about the time dilation, where I'm like I'm not sure exactly how much time I did spend there. So it's very possible that I went to a place that I have no recollection of. So please.
So I mean, it was like 12 courses, and it was like standard, like very fancy restaurant stuff. But I guess I'm curious to hear from you where you situate. I mean, where you situate that in the. I don't want to. I want to hear where you situate that in the story of your life, right? Where were you? Did it? Where were you, and where did you go? If that's an appropriate question for this setting.
You can't. That's interesting. I mean, you're kind of flipping the whole guest position on the head, but I'm about that. If you're about
sorry.
that, no, it's okay. Because also for me, this is like you're the only person that like this is you can tell this story to with, because you're like, oh yeah, I understand. This is a real thing that happened, not something that sounds very made up, right? So, because it's weird. This is the timing of it. Like when we run into each other. So you're 19, which you're just like stepping out of the house and just beginning to like learn what it's like to be a person, right? And so I run into you where I've just come out of that phase, where I had gone to Chicago at 19 to step out and become a person to study improvised comedy. And I'd been doing that, and then I was talking to a guest last night or the other night, just talking about how I was really excited about going there, and then I realized that what they were doing was different than what I was really interested in doing. And so when I moved to the West Coast, where we run into each other in San Francisco, is where I've come to a place where I'm like, I'm not sure what I want to do, but I have a kind of idea of what I want to uncover. And that's why in the previous 6 months from leaving Chicago, I had started to uncover this idea of how to tell the perfect story and what it takes to do that, right? I think you were there the moment it actually happened, where I woke up from a dream and drew on the parking post, like one of those things that blocks the alley so people can't drive through it. Like the image that I saw, there was a square and the cube with a pyramid inside of it. And then anyway, so it was actually in the OmniCircus where I began to understand like what I've come to call a story calculator, where you can, by understanding what the structure of a story, what a story needs to be, you can build anything you want in that form. Anyway, so going through the OmniCircus was part of that, because the reason I was in San Francisco is I had this premonition, I guess you could say, where I was told that I needed to be on the West Coast at the beginning of 2012, like between January and March, because there was going to be an idea that struck that I needed to catch, and that was that idea. So from there, I moved to LA, where I was working for a little while, and then I moved in with my soon-to-be wife, and worked on the story calculator and how you could use it, and a bunch of different like theories on it in that time, until it was partially developed and I moved to Montana from that point. We did some like films and projects at that time.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's more to those stories, but that kind of
Of
takes us
course, of course.
out of the San Francisco era. But yeah, so it was really
Yeah.
important. Recently, I just published a book on the whole theory and how you can use it. We've been using a story calculator to write Cox in Space as a show. I have demonstrated. I just got off a show where I was demonstrating how you could use it to write this other story that we were just making up on the show. Flamingo and I are working on one of his construction. Um, and so, yeah, it's actually cool how it being there and catching that idea has made a really big difference.
Yeah. I mean, it's inevitable. I feel like it was so pressurized and so bizarre in that period of time, and the dilation of time, right? That it was inevitable that something would come of it. Maybe like maybe not maybe not something predictable or easy to explain, but yeah,
That's
something.
an
I don't know. I
interesting,
don't know.
yeah, yeah. If all of life is chemistry, right? You sometimes have to put
Yeah.
things under pressure to break them down. Yeah,
Yeah.
and actually, I feel like in a lot of ways, for me, going through the OmniCircus and that dark phase was the beginning of
Hmm.
like a chrysalis phase for me. Like how
Hmm.
insects when they change into like their final like flying form, they go through like this
Yeah.
goo process in the middle. And
Yeah.
so it was weirdly symbolic that it was like at the Omni Circus that was happening. It's part of a social revolution, that
Yes.
he's touting. But the thing that's crazy about the Frank social revolution is that it doesn't not make sense. Like he's kind of a moron and absolutely insane. But what he's quoting from is something that if you listen to him, you'd be like, damn, that actually does that's a great way to live, which is, we take care of each other.
Yes.
We cap the amount of money that billionaires can have and make sure that that's funneled back down to where they're paying, like proportionate taxes to the amount of wealth they have. The success of the capital of a
Listen.
business trickles down to the employees. And I'm like, yeah, right on, Frank. And then you find out that he's actually just taking your money and spending it on just random shit. And then you're just like, you're not part of the social revolution, you motherfucker. It's just a con game to you.
The thing about Frank that was so difficult if you lived there for a period of time, which we both did, is
I
Frank said enough things that were true and sensible
uh
that and then you'd listen to a song like and you'd be like, do I just not get it? Am I like is this am I really living with a generational genius
Right,
who
right, yeah,
truly
exactly.
gets all this stuff, and and I'm the idiot on the outside looking in?
And
And
that's how he got away with it for
what's
so long.
what a yeah, right. I think it was Goebbels, right, that said like the goal is to say something enough times where it's like undeniable that it's true, right?
Right,
There's
right.
something in that
You can pound the
something in that
truth
kind of vein.
your truth into people is I think the concept, yeah.
And on a tiny social, like the 20 people who live there at any given time, we're getting so constantly inundated by the just relentless self aggrandizing self, like, is it called hagiography? I don't know, like this,
Yeah.
like the promotion of self, that he was the world's greatest artist. And I was like,
Right, right.
dude, I have no choice but to entertain this as a possibility, even though I'm listening to this ridiculous song day in and day out. Yeah, seriously, if you're gonna pull up a song at any point, either you listener out there or Skip, it's the Pol Pot Belly was just like such a ride. I don't know if you remember that one, but
I
it's like it's very carnivalesque. Uh, it has like it's a lot of different
Actually,
movements of just
Flamingo,
like
do you mind
shred.
pulling up this song real quick?
No problem, bro.
Oh, so that you can get a listen. I know you're on the truck and we've just broken your reality of the truck. You're like, wait,
I
No, you're good, bro.
apologize.
who am I? But this, you're right. I'm glad you had a name specifically, because this is definitely a
What's
very iconic. So it's Rust Nor Moth.
it called?
Sorry,
The
Rust
song
Nor
itself is
Moth,
called
but it's called.
it's called Pol Pot Belly, like Polpot belly. I mean, I don't even know that's. don't even know if it's on here, but who knows? Yeah, and it's the band is called Moth Nor Rust, though it might have been a Frank Garvey release. I don't know.
I don't know how to spell that.
That's fine. I think what you got is
that's
probably
what,
good.
yeah. So he's making the joke that it's about Pol Pot, the dictator, and then Potbelly, but this.
Yeah, I don't think it's I don't see it on there. You might have to go on the dark web to find some of this stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
No worries.
almost
Thanks
all
for the
these
effort, though.
documentaries about Pol Pot, real.
No.
Apparently, I've watched a little bit of this one already. I don't remember that, but YouTube doesn't lie, I guess.
Yeah, because he's really
You're the
interesting. Okay.
target audience. Yeah, well, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
Back on the truck. Yeah.
right
back to the
back
truck.
into the actual truck. That's crazy that Frank isn't on the YouTube, because I could have sworn that maybe he was on like a different service.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while since I
Although,
pulled that up.
I'm realizing it's like 13 years, right? Yeah, that's really interesting. And maybe he's had a whole change of art.
Yeah. So you mentioned that people were paying like $200 a week. At that time, I was paying $400 a month to sleep on a cot.
Okay, that
like,
I may have
the
been
heart of-
exaggerating. Maybe it was $100 for the week, and like
Yeah. And the reason I bring it up is because I think that I stayed there for like what 3.5 months or something, but I think I only paid for like 2 months, not because I withheld the rent, but there was a time period where I was working as his bodyguard as well. I don't know if you recall this, but I would go out and just like I would be at like he'd go to like book like signing events, not his own books, but like he'd go to like bookstores when there's events going on, and he'd be like, there's people who want to kill me, and I need protection, and I was like, yeah, I can handle that. Yeah. So that was worth a month's rent, I think, to kind of handle those duties. And I don't doubt that there were people out there who wanted to kill Frank, but they never materialized. And I never had to deal with them.
I do doubt. I did find the track actually, Chandler. If you're looking for, it looks like your screen is loading, but that might be on my end and not yours. There's an image of Frank also. I just dropped it into
What a time.
our main chat. What a time. This man. And the thing is that he was there for such a long time that he was known to everybody.
Yeah.
Can you hear that?
Now just imagine this being blasted through the space where you're trying to sleep and like live your life all the time. Like constantly.
Yeah, constantly. That the entire day.
Rich man's grown a pole pot belly.
Oh my God, you want to give me flashbacks?
You got the lyrics here too.
Let's watch those melt into jelly. What's it take to seal the deal with? What's it take to seal the deal?
Oh. And that is Frank, by the way. That's Frank singing.
Bro. There's no way.
This is so as we're living our lives in a surreal location, this is what's playing over speakers.
The coin chant riding and wishing well, but the black coat sings to the beggar man. Wash out Sam at the earth. Been 17 years since I left home, but the black coat.
Well, I need you to fight the urge to turn this off until the guitar solo comes streaming in, please.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Which is another thing that we need to do.
Way down. Got to wear my sun crown. I got lives. No way I'm gonna leave you down, way down.
And this was what was being kind of posed as the vanguard of music in our time. Wow. Like this, he's like, yeah, there you have it. I know I'm not the host, but I think that's good for me. I'm good on this.
You reach your
How long
maximum.
is this shit?
It's
6
so
minutes?
long. Yeah, it keeps going. Yeah, it keeps going for another 4 minutes.
Well, point proven, I suppose.
Yeah, madness.
So at one point, Frank drove
It
me
comes
to,
off
or
to
had
me as
me
a-
drive him to the beach to have me play his album for him in the while we're sitting at the beach. Wait, I'm sorry. At that point, no, he was driving, and then as we were listening to the album, he falls asleep, and so I'm stuck there listening to his album, like all alone at the beach at like midnight or something, in this van with this dude I like just met.
Yeah,
the
I
song
have an
plays
almost
like a
identical
Picasso
story.
painting.
Music like a Picasso painting.
Yeah, this song plays like a Picasso painting. That's
That
all
would
I can say.
yeah,
It's like there is something to be, taken from it, I suppose. But it's very like everything is all happening together at once, and it's basically like a Picasso painting that isn't really meant to be understood, but like to this guy it has huge, and to whoever, is about this shit, it has like a huge impact, or like they see his vision, That's kind of what I get from it.
It's good to hear from someone who's not been inundated with it. It's good to get a fresh perspective.
That's true, and also a musician.
That's kind of how I get it. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I get from it.
So it's surrealist music.
Yeah, just abstract. Yeah, surrealist, exactly, abstract.
And that is a great way to describe. Yeah, because OmniCircus was supposed to be a surrealist experience. That's what the type of theater that it was.
There you go, man. Yeah.
And
that's wild, dude.
He was very much about that. So here's the thing, though, about Frank and the Socialist Revolution is that, like I said, there was no less than 15 people that were living there at one time, and if they're paying $100 every week, you guys do the math for every week that he's there. Cash. He's trying to cram in as many people as he can for the cash. But big mystery, Frank never had any money to pay any of the bills, and he always had to get other people to pay the bills for him. So,
oh, no.
yeah, exactly. So you look like what the Socialist Revolution. It was really a microcosm of how Socialist revolutions do work. Is that all the money goes up to the top and it never comes back down. So, I guess he was doing it correctly.
It's pretty much any system, pretty much how it works.
If not tempered. But exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if there were any believers, in the
true converts
that were passing through around our times. Yeah, to what extent? Because clearly he had his own delusions, but I was never really present for anyone else who bought them. We all kind of looked at each other and were like,
I don't think anyone ever took Frank seriously.
I don't know. I think everyone, like you said, everyone had their own reasons for being there.
Right.
He did it enough for all of us.
He believed in the social revolution enough for that nobody else had to believe in it but him. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
No, but there were there were plenty of interesting characters there. I think that the guy that called himself Smiley was an electrical engineer from back in the 70s. And there was another guy there named Riley who his expertise was high in math. And he was the one in 2012, he said, Oh yeah, the reason I'm getting out here now is because I'm getting out of the system, because everything's crashing. And we're like, what? He said, yeah, just mark my words. He predicted that like everything what's going on right now. So economically speaking.
I remember him. I remember him saying very funny math things at times about entropy, but I can't tell you any context around him. He was very right type of guy. Yeah, lots of characters through there.
Please be patient while we check for compliance with local regulations.
Whoa, guy.
I hope you're
Sorry, I don't have anything illegal. We're all good.
Results are
I was just like, wow, that's
Thank
pretty
goodness.
pretty aggressive to get hit
We're
up
all
with
good.
right away.
I still have parking violation stickers on my windshield though, and I don't know how to get them off.
Is that? I was wondering.
Yeah, I fell asleep near a truck stop, not at the truck stop, and when I woke up, there was stickers all over my windshield. So.
You get some space acetone.
Yeah,
Scrape those bad boys off. Yeah.
Regular acetone won't do the
exactly.
tricks, but space acetone always works.
It has to be space acetone, exactly.
You know who we haven't called out in this episode, Cory, is Many Faces, Jameer.
Yeah, that's true.
Who? Damn.
Jameer got me a job.
Really? Yeah, hella great dude. Also, a really slick rapper. And it was interesting that he was in a place that he was being inundated by like the surrealist music, and then he was also like quietly laying down beats and rapping. I was bunking next to him, so I got to hear like the bars all the time.
Yeah, that was when I first moved in. He was my bunkmate. He was cool, and it would have been cool though if he had warned me that my bunk was right next to the industrial-sized heater that melted all of my stuff the first night that I stayed there. That would have been cooler if he told me that. But
he didn't want to, take away the experience you had of, the warmth of that heater.
A rite of passage. Yeah.
Right, and then also, the fact that you'd have a big collected pool of your stuff that would harden in the morning.
Yeah, a very, very efficient. Yeah, very efficient use of space. And space was at a premium, so I'm glad it melted.
And yeah, exactly. I mean, that was a higher end. My God.
Public endangerment? How? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're definitely in danger. Did you?
I guess.
How? Oh, because they're always like tracking you all the time.
Well, no, I thought I only ran into like one little like space rock or something, but apparently I must have hit something else because I got fined up the ass for this one.
Wow, that really it took a chunk out.
Very strange. Yeah.
So Cory, we're coming up into the last like half hour of the show. What I mean, you were 19 when I last ran into you, but so much has changed since then. What's been going on with you?
Yeah. What's been going on? Wow, that's a big 15 year.
Yeah. Exactly. We can start where you are presently and work backwards, or start in San Francisco, work forwards, whatever you want to do.
Let's start in San Francisco.
Fun times.
Let's start there because it started. That was in some ways things kind of started there. So I was there when you knew me. I'm curious a little bit what did you? I was a kid, and you were in your late 20s. Right, what did you see of like where I was headed? If that makes sense. Is that a sensible question? I'm asking.
100%. Right, because you're like, you went on to go do your life. from the moment I saw you,
Yeah.
right? No,
Yeah, and
if you
I wasn't
could,
bringing much to the table at that time, but I was bringing something.
right? Well, you always had
I'm curious
yourself.
yeah, I'm curious what you perceived that as at that time.
Well, so I mean, the thing is about like that situation, right? Is that if you are cool in a circumstance like that, then you're probably gonna be cool anywhere. Is the thought, and that's the nice thing about the OmniCircus is that like you have to be like the level of chill that's okay with everything that's going on there.
Yeah.
So like I knew that was gonna be the case with it. Also, you were working all the time, so you were constantly making money in a place that was hard to like keep jobs because you don't even have an address, and
Right.
a place to shower and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, cool. Like financially, it's gonna be set. And I'm gonna mute this out just because I know that you're married now, but like you're definitely getting ladies and you knew how to connect, so you were probably gonna be fine. That was my thought of you.
It's so bizarre looking back that I brought a college girl back to that back to my squat.
Yeah, exactly.
And she stayed the night.
Yeah, exactly.
She didn't walk in and be like, no. She stayed the night.
Exactly.
On a cot. Like, and it wasn't even an air mattress. It was like oh dude.
Just
that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's truly, it's really wild. So yeah, what's really funny is I was actually I was on the IRS website, or like the Social Security Administration website, like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And that website will tell you the amount of money that you've made every year going back to when you started making money.
Oh, cool. Okay, that's a cool thing to know.
It's so funny. It's so funny that you like that. You're right. I was working 2 jobs at that time. I was making money. I was pulling in, tips. I was working as a waiter, and I was working as a deli at the ferry building. And I made more money that year than I did over the next 6 years combined, I think. Which is not saying much because I wasn't making that much money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like so I goodness. This is going to be hard to piece together. So I moved back to where I'm from, which is Rochester, New York, after I left. So I kind of crashed out of San Francisco. I was seeing a girl from Rochester at the time, and I ended up kind of getting really sick and running out of money and getting kicked out of the apartment that I'd moved into, all like within a week of each other.
That's right. I think I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
And I was like, I can't be here. I can't stay here. I gotta go. I went home. So I went home and I lived with some folks, and I ended up going to school for a couple of years.
What did you study?
I never graduated. I studied biology.
Interesting.
Which is kind of a weird thing because I never liked science, but I was like, I'll be well-rounded. I'll study biology. Never liked it. Should have studied history. Yeah. Don't kids follow your dreams. Don't just don't study things in school that you are not interested in. Study the things you are interested in.
Right. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So the whole time you were there, like, just fuck this.
Yeah, totally.
That's cool that you say that, because that's one of the things that for me, like, there's choices that I know I should have made that were sensible, and I didn't make them, and then I look back and be like, dang it, why didn't I make that sensible choice? But I didn't make that sensible choice because I knew I was going to hate it the entire time, and even if I achieved it, like, for me, I realized I got a scholarship, to go to college. And I should have taken advantage of it and studied business, right? Because business can be applied to so many things. But I just didn't ever want to be that person, or like study, Anyway, so
you gotta have the fire. But,
and so like I wouldn't have the passion for it, although I would do it. But like so instead I followed my passion and did that instead of had fun the entire time doing that. So okay, cool, good to know. You're like, don't do it because you want to be well-rounded. Do it because you enjoy it.
Because you like it.
Yeah, free will. It might be very short for you.
Yes. So I wonder if so then I found myself living in Louisiana for a period of time.
What part of Louisiana?
Yeah, I wonder. South of New Orleans, in a little town called Lafitte, Louisiana.
Okay. Yeah. I'm northwest of New Orleans right now in Hammond.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Sure.
So I know where the feed is.
Yeah, found myself down there. I almost opened a food truck back in 2018, back in 2017.
Nice.
But
Okay.
it fell through, and it was just like, oh man, this is.
What type of
So
food
I
truck?
had to start over. Well, you're gonna have to forgive me because this idea is terminally stupid.
Okay.
But a gumbo food truck.
Okay, gotcha. In Louisiana.
A gumbo, yeah. People, I thought, yeah, people, because the whole time I was in school, I was cooking.
Right. Oh,
So
nice.
yeah. So I was like, oh, I'll just have a food truck, and that didn't work.
Wait, a
So
gumbo
that,
food truck would work in any other location but Louisiana. So
you
it's
think
not that.
so?
Yeah, it's not that it's a bad idea. It's just that the market's saturated with really good food. But yeah, no, I'm sure you
Yeah.
make good gumbo.
Yeah.
Just like here, people's grandma have been making good gumbo for 300 centuries. So.
Right. Yeah. So I'm in a way I'm glad it didn't work out because that might have been a harsh come down. But then I was in 2018, the beginning of 2018, the food truck wasn't working out, and I was kind of like. I was down and out, and I was living with friends. I was crashing on people's couches. I ended up doing like a study, like a bird flu study. That was like they gave me bird flu like vaccines and locked me in a room for like 14 days at a time, a couple times. So yeah, it was hard. It was hard times.
Wow,
And it
that's
was right
like
at that
marine
time.
training, where you're like,
Yeah.
you just
So
gotta persevere.
it was right. Yeah, it was right at that time that I met my wife. I was in the bird flu study like the first like couple months of us dating. I don't know why she hung around, but
What? That's so crazy, dude. Did you tell her?
I know.
Like, listen, it might seem like I'm gonna disappear off the map for a little while, but I'm actually doing a bird flu study.
I'm doing bird flu studies. Yeah, they're giving me bird flu, and then I got a job working at a food bank. I transitioned from I still stayed in food, but I worked at a food bank. I worked at the food bank for 3.5 years.
Nice. What'd you do there?
Tried. Well, I taught cooking classes mostly, but I also tried to organize it. I tried to organize the food bank. I tried to organize a union at the food bank. Got fired from the food bank illegally for union organizing.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Right. This is the world
and
that
that-
we live in currently. But Jesus, we need a union for everything.
If you search NLRB Cory Robinson, you'll find some things on the internet. Because I took my case to the National Labor Relations Board and was compensated for my troubles. We never did get the union, but you can't just fire someone for trying to organize a union. And then from there, I got into manufacturing, and now I'm a scheduler at a factory. So yeah, that's the full download. Oh, and I got married last year.
Congratulations, the bird
Yeah.
flu, the bird flu wife.
Yeah, someone with very poor judgment apparently. in partners, yeah.
You gotta keep them around, keep them close, so you can make bad choices together. That's the best kind of relationships. Yeah.
You'll appreciate this, I think, because you are an appreciator of the world of animals, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
When I did the bird flu study, they let me out after they had given me some mild variation of the bird flu, and the day I got out, I went to my partner picked me up from the hospital, and she was like, "Hey, let's go see the house that I lived in college. My friends just moved out of the house, and we're gonna go let's go walk around the place because it's important to me." And I said, "Okay." And so we walk in this abandoned house, or not abandoned. People just moved out of it, right? And we heard like a kind of banging around upstairs, and there was a sparrow that had been caught in the sleeping porch of the house, and I caught the sparrow with my hands, and I brought it out to outside, and I let it go, And then I realized that I had just been in a bird flu study, and I'm the last person on planet Earth who should be touching birds and releasing them into the wild.
Right, oh
And
my
I
God.
felt like I think I might have even thought of you in the moment, like this is such a dumb way to cause a global pandemic. Like, what have I done? What have I done? Yeah. Anyway.
It's very possible that you did, in fact, in that area, right?
Yes. Bird flu 19. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
exactly. It's what happened. Um, my God, Cory, patient zero.
Yeah. Oops.
Right, you did it. So that's really interesting. So how did you get the job with the working in a food pantry, teaching cooking classes? So you worked.
Um, I just applied for it, and I said,
Okay.
I almost had a food truck, and they were like, whoa, that's cool. And I said, where? And I said, New Orleans. And they said, well, you must know what you're doing, so
Okay,
you can
there
teach
you go.
cooking classes.
Right, I
Yeah.
gotcha.
Well, what happened was that's what I just told you isn't exactly true, because I actually started off as the as a fruit and vegetable truck driver at the food pantry.
Okay.
I was like selling fruits and vegetables at like wholesale prices, and then I applied to be the AmeriCorps member. Which, if you're familiar with AmeriCorps, that is where they pay you $370 every other week to teach cooking classes, and then that's what I did.
That's awesome. I also worked at a food pantry for like five years, something like that.
Really,
Yeah,
really.
as a coordinator. Um, but yeah, this one of the things that like I wanted to do was that idea. I didn't realize it was done more commonly. Because you get this
Yeah,
food sometimes and you're like, what do I do with this collection of things? Um,
exactly, right?
and then knowing that you can make all sorts of stuff that you can save up and freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Were
that
you
was
dealing with a lot of banana boxes at that time?
banana boxes.
Is that a universal thing? The banana
100%, the
boxes?
most sturdy from any grocery store. So it's always banana boxes. You kind of dread the
Yeah.
days that you don't have them.
Yes.
Yeah, just for the fact that it won't hold the groceries. You have to find some other way to put it in the car. So we had the added benefit that it was on a rehab facility. So everyone who was working there were
Mm.
volunteers, but not because they wanted to. Um,
Uh-huh.
and they were there like either court mandated or coming out of prison, or coming off
Mm.
drugs, and or off the streets, like any combination of those things. And we're working at that facility, so the unionization wasn't a problem for us. Uh,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Actually, along those lines, the culture that we were kind of living in was very similar to the OmniCircus, because there was a leader of that group who was in the same way that Frank was, always telling us like how funny he was and how smart he was and like how much he knew about the Bible,
Mm.
and was always like doing that same like thing that Frank was doing, right? Like the whole inundation, building of the cult mentality. Um,
Yep.
so, and like the not able to sleep, being kept up for like hours, and having like random shit to do. Um, it wasn't music being played, but an endless series of tasks. Anyway, so yeah, right, fun.
You got a type.
Yeah, like it was like I just missed the circus so much that I needed
Right.
to go back into it
I
and
have
stay there.
never once missed. There's a lot of things that I miss in my life, but the OmniCircus, there's never been a single moment where I go, I miss that.
No,
There's no aspect of it
hundred percent,
that I miss.
100%. No,
Yeah.
no desire to be in there. I didn't really realize I was being roped into that type of culture, but like happens to be, it's a very common thing for people just to get like psyched out on themselves and think out that they're, since they're the first player character, no one is more important
Yes.
than they are. And,
Yes.
especially if they've done, series of drugs or their brain is broken in specific ways. It's a common thing. That's why cults are so common, and people should always be wary that there could be one forming because they happen a lot.
I'm not. Hey, listen! You asked me to come on your podcast, and I was like, "Is this a cult? Is this a cult thing?" I had to do my research.
That's how cautious you are.
I'm very cult sensitive.
And you should be. Like cults don't even take more than 2 people. Actually, cults can only have one person in them, who has a very strange belief that leads them to do all sorts of things. But yeah,
I've always said that any group of 2 or more people is like one weird conversation away from becoming a cult.
That's a quotable right there, because absolutely, and it's weird. So this is an interesting twist that we've taken. I didn't realize you were so cult sensitive. What makes you feel that way? Like, what examples do you have, or what are your thoughts?
I mean, maybe that is what I got out of living in the OmniCircus.
It's like just straight up, so, like, you got this really quick life experience. So, like, watch out for all people who act like this guy.
Yeah, I think I think we might have come to where that came from right on the first try. I mean, I like that experience that you described of being on the beach, and listening to the album. I had a very eerily similar experience where. He was like, I want you to, Frank took me to the beach and we said, like, we're gonna listen to this album and I want you to rate every one of these songs 1 to 10.
Okay.
And we're gonna stop in between each track and you're gonna review each one. And I had just, I'm like, I want to, it'd been a week and I needed to stay living in that place.
Right.
I was like, this one's a 9.5. This one's a 9. This one's an 9.8. Like. And that's how, and that type of systematic cult buy-in of just like, but you said, and you pressure people through the power dynamic relationship you force them into saying things that they don't really believe and acting in ways that would otherwise make them uncomfortable. And that was there was a lot of that with Frank.
Yeah, he was always pushing people's boundaries to accept that.
Yeah.
Because you said even, yourself, like, am I the one, maybe I'm the crazy one. Maybe this is really good music. Yeah. And everyone around me is the ones who they also agree with him, and that's why they're here also, right? Mm-hmm. And so, like, if he keeps, good 15 people, not only does it make him, like, money, but it also makes him look like he has influence.
Yeah, and I think part of back to your question of like, why am I cult sensitive? I think I'm more than anything authority sensitive, which I think that just comes with having an abusive father. Is just like, you're gonna use authority in ways that are irresponsible, and that's all a cult is, right? Is like some sort of deriving of authority through social means, and then you abuse it. I don't know. That's one way of describing a cult, I think.
100%, yeah, 100%. And it really comes from that, from people who generally feel small, they feel weak, and then they want to make sure that they don't feel weak, so they influence other people, inflict their power on other people, become bullies, become cult leaders, in different capacities. Interesting. So you seem to have been fortunate enough to not have run into more of those, or have you, after leaving the circus? Because you had to stand up against these guys. You're like, we're gonna form a union. They're like, no, you're not. And you're like, well, that's not something you're can
fired.
Do. Yeah.
I've been lucky. The food bank is weirdly enough the only like abusive authority situation that I've really found myself in a major way since the OmniCircus.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then
it is good.
How did you get into something so technical as manufacturing? And you said that you still haven't gone back to school, correct?
Still not gone back to school. No. After I got fired from the food bank, I had to make ends meet somehow. and like because it takes a while for the National Labor Relations Board to conduct an investigation and get you your back pay and stuff. It takes like, in my case, it was like 7 months or something. So I had to make ends meet.
The majority of a year, or over half.
Yeah, and so I ended up nannying for this family. I nannied for a family that like someone who I was working in the union with knew. And they were like, "Oh, we're looking for a nanny for our 3-year-old and our 5-year-old." And I was like, "Well, that's cool. I mean, I don't know if I'm the guy, but if you I'll do the interview." Weird, and through this weird series of weird coincidences, I ended up nannying for this family, and the father goes, "Well, if you weren't nannying my kids, I'd put you to work in my factory." And I was like, "Well." Dog, I don't really want to nanny your kids as a career. Like be a job in the factory. Yeah. Are you serious? Are you messing around with me right now? Or are you going to give me a job in the factory? He's like, yeah, come work in the factory. So I started working in the factory, and I worked my way up. And I've been doing that for about 3 or 4 years now.
Right on, dude. Seems like good people, right?
Good people, good career, good money, good everything. It's stable. It's I think that in nonprofits and in call it mission-driven work, it is susceptible to the subterfuge of we're saving the world and we're doing good work, and that enables, in my experience at least, a lot of chicanery, right? If you have a badge of any sort, but especially if you have a badge of I'm doing good, of just like goodness, I think that you can kind of abuse it, right? And there's the nice thing about
you can make that part of people's pay, right?
Yeah,
is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
pay, and also just like I mean, just straight up, like, be, you'll find yourself permitting, in our case, like sexual harassment and stuff from certain people if they have certain power in the organization. Blah 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 blah. Right. But point being, you don't get that in manufacturing, because it's like, what are we here to do? We're here to make gears or whatever.
Right.
So like, I'm not here to save the world, and some of that subterfuge and some of that kind of
you take
I don't know what to call it.
Chandler, did you just pick up Frank's load? Did you just pick up a truck from Frank's? Did it say Frank's on the side of your
maybe
truck?
I don't.
Full circle.
You're gonna have to watch it back. I wasn't really paying attention.
Okay, yeah, me neither. And then popped up, and I was like, "Wait, what?" Yeah, like that's weird.
Well, yeah, when you watch it back, you should keep an eye out for that, because that would be funny.
I will, and then if you're gonna pick up the load, I'm gonna see if it's on the side of the truck. But yeah, no, that's right. Like, when you're working a job, it's like, what's the job? The work. Okay, cool. So you're gonna pay us, right? And they're like, yeah, because this is work here.
Yeah, but not in sort of the mission-driven spaces.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. And that it's a funny way to like leverage pay in that. Be like, but we're saving the world. What are you just here for, a paycheck? Like, actually.
Yeah, gotta feed my family.
Turns out there's bills. So that was actually the break from me and the food place. Is that I was branded as a heretic all of a sudden, with no real reason, but that it was just once the leader had decided that I was out, everyone else had decided I was out. So, I was actually okay with
nasty
low
business.
paycheck. Yeah, because I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. We are saving the world. We are helping people, because I got to work at a food bank during the pandemic. So people were getting fed. Same. And so I was like, yeah, this is what's up. But then, like, after that, I have been more of the mindset. I'm like, you know what we actually need to do is we actually need to make money, because that's how you have influence. Is that when you can afford to do things and get stuff done, that's when you can make things happen. I see that.
There
It
it
is
is.
Frank's. It is Frank's. Frank's Logistics. That's awesome. So, right? The universe lines up. Well, this is what you had said. Sorry, Corey. I was going to call you Cody for some reason. That's weird. Anyway.
We'll answer to it. It's fine.
Yeah, it's got a couple of the same letters. But no, so that's what I was gonna say is that you said through a series of strange coincidences, and that's how it kind of feels like when you line up with the universe. Like it's just these. You started by just saying yes. You could have said no, I can't be a nanny and not taking the job, but you just was like, you know what? I'll see what happens. That was the same sort of attitude that I saw in San Francisco too when you were 19. It was like, well, here we are doing this thing. You may as well, have a laugh, and just see what happens next.
Yeah, same dude. Same
Yeah,
dude now,
yeah.
pretty much. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that's where the doors start to open up to you because they see you as that person. Whether you're netting someone's kids, they're also like, yeah, you can be trusted, depended on, for building things, for leading teams. Yeah.
That's a nice thing to say.
Well, that's what like it just seems like it is continuing to serve you. I'm sort of just drawing a parallel between the person that you and the person that you're describing. So.
Yeah, it's been a ride. It's so I don't think about Frank and the OmniCircus very often because I've lived a full life between now and then, but it is such a delight to step back into. There was no tragedy for me there. There's no no difficulty. There's no big I've had things in my life, and we all have, that are just like deeply hurtful and harmful, and that is more of just like, it's not that. It's just like a wow, what a strange thing.
It's
what a strange thing that was.
He lived
and
up
I
to his
escaped
goal.
unscathed.
Right, it's being surreal.
Yeah.
So yeah, because that's all it is. But yeah, unscathed. I don't think there were many people harmed by that. I mean, like maybe exploitation, sexually and financially, Frank. But as far as level of harm, it's a kind of a low level grift.
I think so.
And not the type of like major crime, or it's the sort of thing you're like, that's not morally acceptable, and what a kind of a dick move to do to people around you, but not the type of thing that you're like, well, at least he's not a predator or whatever.
I mean, overwhelmingly, my thoughts on, I have a lot of thoughts, but overwhelmingly, find another place in San Francisco that you could stay for $400 a month. Find another one.
There was right downtown.
That was exactly what I needed at that time. Was it like ridiculous? Was it bizarre? Was it like
bizarre?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was all of those things, but also it was exactly what I needed during that time in my life.
And interestingly enough, let's point this out. It was a completely non-judgmental space. As weird as Frank was, like he didn't care who you were as long as you had $100, or whatever it was for the night. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he was just like a very chill dude when he wasn't being crazy. And that's kind of like the balance that was strange with him. Because like I could wrap with him in a lot of ways. Because like he kind of just like accepted that all people were people. So and then from there on out.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess each of them was worth their money, and that's all he really cared about. He didn't care black, white, Asian, whatever.
Yeah. I wonder. I mean, I'm trying to think. I don't remember much conflict. I mean, for a space that was so small and so, I don't remember there being much by way of like interpersonal like blowouts or anything like that.
Well, and that's the thing too, and so diverse people, like all people there for all different reasons, right? All of them crazy in some specific way, different from the other people. And there wasn't, and that's a really interesting thing for me too, because like I've been around people, and just the snippiness can sometimes get to people. But I would agree. In the time that I spent there, no one came to shouting, and no real fist fights, anything like that. you know, and it's not because they respected each other, although I guess that was part of it, but I don't know. There was a vibe or something. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. What a time.
What a time. Well, Cory, we have reached the end of our show. I do appreciate you being here with us to reminisce about the weird times in our life that nobody will possibly believe happened.
No. I can't imagine the experience of listening to this, only because, like, well, I mean, how I'm gonna send a photo. I'm gonna try to find an old photo of the circus that I have and send
cool.
it to you.
Okay.
Because I was looking through old photos the other day, and I do have it, and so
Nice.
I can't imagine listening to this. Yeah, throw it in there. Cool. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a super fun time. Yeah, absolutely. Chandler, thank you for driving the truck through space to give us the visual as well. And we're glad you're here. Guys who are listening,
of course, man, I enjoyed it.
yeah, it's really fun, right? And there's some experiences. Chandler was part of that experience also. He ran into me in San Francisco at that time, but did not know that all that stuff
is true, yeah.
was going on in the background. So, if you all want to find out more about what's going on with Cox in Space, you can go to coxinspace.com, coxinspace.com. Check us out up there. Get connected with our Discord, our Patreon, our Facebook. You can find Chandler and Flamingo Music at soundcloud.com/Flamingo Music. And Cory, do you have any socials you want to shout out that anyone can find you if they want to follow you? Are you doing that sort of thing?
www.google.com NLRB Cory Robinson. You can read my case. Check that out. It's really cool.
Get the facts of the case down, where he fought the man, and won. So it can be done. Guys, we do need to unionize because the workers are being exploited, and they won't stop being exploited until we do. But Cory, we'll have you on at another point to talk about that if you're down.
Oh, absolutely.
Sweet. And then bye.